Oh, Donald. Just when we think you can't possibly outdo yourself in the "what were you thinking?" Olympics, you slap on a digital mitre, throw on some AI-generated papal robes, and blast an image of yourself as the Pope across social media. Because nothing says deep respect for the Catholic faith, quite like hijacking the solemnity of a pontiff's passing to post a cosplay fantasy starring yourself. Let's just be clear here. Pope Francis died. Catholics around the globe are grieving the loss of a spiritual leader, a man who spent his life in service, humility, and compassion. And Trump thought, you know what this moment needs? Me, photoshopped as the vicar of Christ. The ego it takes to see a global religious tragedy and somehow make it about yourself is, frankly, awe-inspiring in the worst possible way. Religious leaders weren't amused, and thank God for that. The New York State Catholic Conference called the image offensive and inappropriate. Cardinal Timothy Dolan and other bishops in New York publicly condemned it, noting that the post showed a profound lack of reverence, especially in light of the Church's solemn conclave to elect a new pope. This wasn't just a harmless goof. It was a slap in the face to millions of faithful Catholics around the world, and to decency itself. International reactions were just as biting. Former Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi called it shameful. Spain's leading religious newspapers accused Trump of outright mocking the Catholic faith. And you know what? They're right. And while we're handing out awards for insensitivity, let's take a moment to talk about Melania, his wife. You remember her? She's the actual practicing Catholic in this circus. Imagine your spouse turning one of the most sacred and sorrowful moments in your faith into a cheap meme for attention. The disrespect isn't just to the Pope. It's to every Catholic, including the one he shares a house with, sometimes. Look, to all of this I say, if Trump had any shame at all, now would be a really good time to locate it. So, let's ask the question that's just screaming to be asked. Why would someone do this? Why would the President of the United States, in the wake of a revered spiritual leader's death, create and share an image of himself dressed as that very same leader? 2 words, attention addiction. This wasn't about faith. It wasn't satire. It wasn't commentary. It was the digital equivalent of a toddler banging pots and pans because no one's paying attention to him. Trump's thirst for validation is so bottomless, so all-consuming, that he's now turning holy morning into a stage for his own delusions of grandeur. And that's not a leap. That's a spiral into the abyss straight to Hades. The man needs help. And no, I'm not being flippant. He seriously needs to talk to someone. He needs to unpack why he compulsively inserts himself into moments that have nothing to do with him. Someone, anyone, needs to explain to Trump that just because you can use AI to put your face on the Pope's body doesn't mean you should. Fortunately, his niece, Mary Trump, a clinical psychologist, might be up to the task. Maybe she can help him work through whatever is going on in that gold-plated echo chamber he calls a mind. It's also worth remembering that Pope Francis himself has warned the world about the dangers of AI. After a fake image of him wearing an oversized designer puffer coat went viral, the Pope called for regulations to curb the misuse of artificial intelligence. He was concerned, rightly so, about how these tools can be used to deceive, disrespect, and distort reality. And what does Trump do in response to that caution? He posts himself as Pope during the week of the actual Pope's funeral. It's like being told not to play with fire and immediately launching a flamethrower into a candlelight vigil. This behavior is not normal. This is not presidential. This isn't even what we'd expect from a low-rent reality TV personality. It's narcissism in full bloom. It's disrespect packaged as self-promotion. It's unbecoming, unseemly, and unbelievably tone-deaf. Look, we all like a laugh. I have a sense of humor. But some things are just not funny. And this is one of them. This was a moment that called for dignity, compassion, and respect. Instead, we got a sideshow, a vanity project, an ego trip dressed up as liturgy. Trump may think he looks powerful in papal garb, But to the rest of us, he just looks small. And silly. And shockingly out of touch with the reverence this moment deserved. So I'll say it again, for those in the back, shame on him. Assuming, of course, he has any. This is Sensible Sue signing off. Keep it sensible out there.